everyone, Mia here. It has been so long. I have seriously missed YouTube. I have missed my YouTube community, and I am currently getting ready for work, and I feel like there's so much to update you on. So welcome if you're new here. Welcome if you have been here since the beginning. Welcome back. And we're just gonna go ahead and dive in. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Mia Hemstad, and I make content about mental health. And I'm a mom of 2 kids, and I live with PTSD and depression. I have a YouTube channel. It's been so long. My last YouTube video was a podcast I did with my husband about what racism looks like. If you want to check that out, I'll link it in the description. I kind of just needed a breather. If you couldn't tell already, I am a Black woman, and this whole situation has been stressing me the freak out. There's been a lot happening, y'all. There's been COVID. The economy's been tanking. People are losing jobs. There have been people dying. Not to trigger anybody, but this is reality, right? We're living in a really hard and uncertain time. And then the racism kind of came to the surface, which, by the way, it's always been on the surface for me. It's always been on the surface for Black people. But I needed to take a minute. There was a lot happening on Instagram that I wanted to address. I wanted to find extra time to make YouTube content, and I realized there really is no extra time. If you haven't been keeping up with me on Instagram, which if you're not, why aren't you? Go to Mia Hemstad on Instagram at Mia Hemstad and follow me there. I post every single day in stories and in my feed. Yeah, basically, I have a job. I'm a full-time communications manager now at a nonprofit. I absolutely love my job. I'm actually getting ready right now for my job. And I figured, why not do a little get ready with me while I chat and give you an update and provide some content. You probably clicked on this video because you want to know about what I'm going to be teaching today. And what I'm going to be teaching today is how to handle big emotions, overwhelming emotions. This is something I want to talk about because as I was talking with my Instagram community, I was realizing a lot of us are just feeling super overwhelmed right now. We've never experienced a pandemic on top of a civil rights movement, on top of all of these racist hate crimes that we're all seeing in our feeds because videos are going viral. And I want to make the distinction that these hate crimes have always been happening. We're just now getting some media coverage on it. So please, acknowledge that racism didn't resurface. It's always been around. So there's just a lot going on. And as someone who lives with PTSD and depression, over the last 6 years of going to therapy and doing a lot of inner work and work on my mental health, I had to learn how to cultivate emotional resilience. And if you don't know what that means, it's basically a really fancy term for not getting completely crippled when a lot of bad things are happening. It's the ability to keep standing back up and to feel grounded and centered amongst all of this stuff and to be able to give yourself what you need. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today while I get ready for work. I already got dressed. I just need to do my hair and makeup. And there's a lot of stuff where I'm getting ready. So bear with me. So anyway, and I've never done a video like this. Hold on. I needed to re-wet my hair. If you have curly hair, you know. There's been a lot going on, right? And the thing is that on top of everything happening, right, the pandemic, racial gaslighting, every time I go on my social media feed, there's some white person saying that racism doesn't exist. And if you are a white person that's not doing that, thank you so much for using your brain and your intelligence. If you are someone that doesn't believe racism exists, feel free to unfollow me. I really don't have the energy to try to convince people of my humanity and the fact that it's been questioned my whole life. And my poor ancestors who literally didn't get to do more than work on a sugarcane plantation until they died. This is just a racism 101. Coming to me and telling me to prove to you that racism exists is hugely disrespectful because I shouldn't have to do that. There is Google. And there's a lot of great books written already. So if you want to research and understand, you can go there. But I just refuse to educate people about racism for free. It's very dehumanizing. Let's cut to the chase. So if you're someone who has anxiety or depression or chronic stress, or you're dealing with a lot of overwhelm, because in addition to everything that we're doing, right, everything that we're dealing with, maybe you're like me and you have 2 small children and you also have a full-time job and you have deadlines, right? Maybe you still have to keep getting up and doing what you need to do and living your life and paying your bills, right? The world hasn't really stopped turning. So what you need to cultivate some skills, mental and emotional, that can enable you to ground yourself and calm yourself so that you can keep showing up for your job and your life and your loved ones and yourself without snapping at people and being mean and doing self-sabotaging things like binge watching TV, spending too much time on social media, eating stuff that doesn't make you feel good, you know, those things. We all know. So I wanted to give you some tips in what I call Emotional Resilience Week. So I did an Emotional Resilience Week last week on Instagram where I gave 5 free classes live, teaching tools and strategies for developing emotional resilience. And it'll be a little different. I'm going to do the same thing for y'all on YouTube, but it won't be every single day. But I'm going to be sharing that content with you all. This is going to be the Cliff Notes version. So if you want an expansion of today's class, which is how to handle overwhelming emotions, I'll link the blog below in the description box. I do have a longer expanded blog that is kind of funny to read. So if you're into that, you can read about it. But I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version today. Anyway, I'm really trying to work this conditioner in my hair because it's getting real dry. If anyone has any product suggestions for dry hair, let me know. Look at that, this dry patch here. How to handle big emotions. There's a process that I'm going to teach you that I had to learn as I learned to manage my PTSD. And it seems like a lot of steps, but once you start practicing it, you can do this process in 5 minutes or less. And I'm serious, that's not a marketing gimmick, that's the truth. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you are faced with an overwhelming emotion, say it's rage or fear or anxiety or worry or uncertainty, the first thing you want to do, or not do rather, is do not numb. Do not numb. Don't reach for the junk food. Don't reach for the phone. Don't reach for your fingers if you're someone that likes to bite your nails, okay? My nails have finally grown long. Focus. And that is an outward sign of how much I have grown and moved past my anxiety, and I'm so proud of myself. I'm actually going to paint my nails today in celebration. Hold on, I need a towel or something. So the reason why you don't want to numb is because kind of like trying to push a beach ball into the water and it keeps shoving back out. That's what you're doing when you numb. You are suppressing your emotions, and while it may relieve you of the sting, the initial sting, it's just gonna come back up as soon as you're done numbing. You know, as soon as the ice cream's gone, or as soon as you scrolled so much that your wrist starts to hurt, we all know, those emotions are gonna come back up. The only way to deal with your emotions and your overwhelm and to really work through it is to work through it. There's no pill that you can take. And even if you're someone that likes, you know, use drugs or alcohol to suppress or numb, once the alcohol wears off, or once the drug wears off, the high or whatever, those emotions are going to come right back. So if you really want to work through it, you have to face it. And the beautiful thing about facing your difficult, overwhelming emotions is that every time you do it, you grow in strength, you feel more empowered, you grow in emotional resilience, you become mentally stronger. It's just like, it's hard work, but there's nothing but benefits, okay? Nothing but benefits. So do not numb. Number 2, plan time and space to process your feelings. This is important for those of us who don't have the luxury of doing 20 minutes of yoga when we feel triggered or overwhelmed, okay? Like, I have a conference call coming up pretty soon here. I have a job to do. I need to be on email pretty soon here. I have kids that need me. I don't always get to just sit and deal with my emotions, and I'm guessing it's the same for you. So in order to calm yourself down and bring yourself back into the present moment, decide, okay, after the kids go to bed at 8 o'clock, I'm going to take 30 minutes or an hour to just relax and de-stress and work through my emotions. And I'll have another class about things that you can do to help you really process when you have that time, but plan time and space to process through your feelings. Doing that, designating that time, will enable you to be more present and focus on what's happening in this moment. Okay, number 3 is, I'm trying to do my hair while talking. This is actually quite difficult. I don't know how y'all get ready with me YouTubers do this. It's a skill. It truly is a skill. Number 3 is name your emotions. So this is actually studied widely in psychology. Dan Siegel, a psychologist, calls this name it to tame it. It's very simple sounding, but it actually is amazingly effective. So the reason why this is effective is because studies have shown that when you're able to name what you're feeling, it calms you down. It calms you down because it's kind of like that feeling of, you know, when you feel like you don't know what's going on and you feel overwhelmed. Once you at least identify like, oh, I know I'm scared right now, or I know I am feeling sad right now, or I'm feeling angry right now. It's like you know what's going on. And even though you haven't yet figured out how to fix it, just knowing what's happening inside of you helps you to already feel a little bit more in control and gives you kind of like, it's the first step towards solving the problem, right? Because what you're going to do to respond to anger and help yourself feel calm is going to be different than what you're going to do to respond to sadness to help yourself feel content again, right? So there's different strategies that you can use to approach your feelings, but if you don't actually know what you're feeling, if you don't name your feeling, you really won't be able to come up with a strategy at all. So naming your feelings is really important, and I highly recommend doing that by writing it down in a journal because it just helps it become more real and more kind of concrete of what you're actually going through. Number 4, hold on, I'm going to rinse my hands. I think I have enough curl gel in my hair. So number 4 is having some self-compassion. So I don't know how many of you do this. Let me know in the comments. But when you realize that you're feeling jealous or angry or sad, and then you start beating yourself up for having it, or you're like making yourself wrong for having feelings, or saying that you're dumb, or whatever it is that you do, I've been there, okay? We all do it. We're told that we're not allowed to have our feelings. This is very not productive. This is not going to help you handle your big emotions, because once you identify what it is that you're feeling, and then you beat yourself up and you tell yourself, I shouldn't feel this, right? How many of us do that? Like, I shouldn't feel this way. If I was just bigger, better, and stronger, I wouldn't feel angry, sad, jealous, scared, whatever, right? That's not true. Even the people you admire who seem to have all their crap together, they still feel their feelings. If you actually didn't feel your feelings, you would be a robot, not a human. I'm using my viewfinder right now to put my toner on. This is cool, using this as a mirror. Probably not super accurate. Having emotions is a good thing. It means that you're normal, okay? It means you're a human. And being in touch with them is how you can be emotionally resilient and healthy mentally. So you're not gonna make yourself wrong. Instead, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have some self-compassion. You're gonna start practicing affirmations like, it's understandable why I feel that way. It's understandable that I'm scared. It's understandable that I'm angry because I was mistreated. It's okay that I'm feeling this way. Things that validate your experience, okay? We can't just hope all day long that someone else will validate us. At some point in our adulthood, we have to learn to validate ourselves and be content and confident in our own validation of our own self-worth and our permission to feel our feelings, okay? Number 5 is you want to remind yourself of what is true. What do I mean by this? Bear with me, I'm gonna put my moisturizer on. After you have identified your emotions and treated yourself with some self-compassion, again, I need to use this, not the mirror, you are going to remind yourself of what's true. What that means is, let me give an example. Let's say you're feeling scared about dying of coronavirus. Okay, maybe you saw some news article that said that the cases in your city have gone up, and now you're freaking out that you're gonna die. You're gonna plan time and space to process your feelings later, like in more depth, like actually relaxing your body down and calming yourself down. But right now you're gonna name your emotions. You're gonna write down, I am feeling scared. I'm scared of dying. Then you're gonna approach it with compassion. It's understandable that I'm scared of dying. I'm not alone in this. We don't know much about coronavirus, and this is scary. Perfectly understandable. Then you're gonna remind yourself of what's true. You're not dead yet. You're not dead today, right now, in this moment. Right now, in this moment, you are safe. You are alive. You are breathing still. Praise God. And that's the truth. Today, in this moment, you are okay. And worrying about what might happen tomorrow, which doesn't even exist yet, right? We only have this moment. Tomorrow doesn't exist yet. Yesterday is not even a reality anymore. You have to ground yourself in reality. You are still here. You are still safe. You can't predict what might happen tomorrow, and worrying about it is not going to prevent it from happening. So you're grounding yourself in what is true. The last thing that you should do in this process of handling your overwhelming emotions is focusing on what you can control. So after you've grounded yourself in the truth, then you're going to identify what can you control, what can you do about it? Because doing something about what we feel or what we're worried about or what's bothering us brings the power back in our hands. So we don't feel emotionally hijacked by all these fears and emotions, and instead we feel empowered and we put the power back in our court, right? In this coronavirus example, you're scared you're going to die of coronavirus. You recognize that right now in this moment you're okay. You're going to focus on what you can control. So what can you control? You can control how much sleep you get, how much news you consume, whether or not you exercise, how you take care of your body, what you can do to boost your immune system, taking your vitamins, eating fruits and vegetables, getting fresh air, wearing a mask when you go out, washing your hands frequently. Those are things that you can control. And make a list of them. Making that list will help you feel calm and grounded. And when you feel overwhelmed again, maybe you see something or you're triggered again by the fear of dying of COVID, you go back to that list. You go back to the list of what you can control about this fear and do one of those things. Wash your hands, make a smoothie, turn your phone off, delete your apps that are bringing you all this scary news, right? Those are the things you can do. And after you go through that process, you'll feel in control. And as you go through that process, like when I first started doing this, when my PTSD was unmanaged, I would probably go through this process like 80 times a day. And now I probably only have to go through this process, I would say 10 times a day, which for someone who lives with PTSD, that's amazing. So I get triggered, I don't numb, I feel myself reach for my phone because my numbing of choice is Instagram. Feel myself going for my phone, take a deep breath. I put the phone down. Instead of numbing, I choose to positively redirect myself by taking 3 deep breaths because I know that breathing activates my parasympathetic nervous system, helps calm me down. I decide that I'm going to take time and space to de-stress because we're all going through a lot of stress right now. So the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to actively de-stress every evening. And I know that seems like a big commitment, but we need more self-care right now. We need to take care of ourselves even more than we were because we're going through way more stress right now than we ever have, or at least for me. I've never experienced this level of racism plus a pandemic in my lifetime. If you have, let me know, but I haven't. This is new territory for me. Then I'm going to name my emotions. I'm going to open up my journal. I'm going to write down what I'm feeling. With racism right now, I'm feeling a little dehumanized. I'm feeling a little invalidated. I'm feeling angry. And then I'm going to have compassion for myself. I'm going to remind myself that it's completely understandable why I'm feeling dehumanized, why I'm feeling upset and invalidated and angry. I shouldn't have to go through this, and yet I am. This is our history, and I do hope that one day it changes. But I can't change it right now in this moment because I have a conference call coming up here. Then I'm going to remind myself what's true. I can't do anything about this right now. This is a big, big issue. But what's true in this moment is that right now, even though racism exists, what's true in this moment is that I have friends who see me, who validate my experiences, who do not gaslight me. There are people out there doing anti-racism work. There is change happening, even though it is slow and it is hard-won and it is costing lives. And what is true right now is that I can believe in my value, that I know what I'm worth, and other people's opinions of my worth doesn't affect that. And number 6, I focus on what I can control. What can I control? How I view myself, how I take care of myself, how I improve and develop and cultivate my own self-worth and self-love. What can I control? I can donate to organizations doing anti-racist work. What can I control? I can make sure that I'm not consuming too much news and social media, which is triggering me and stressing me out. What can I control? I can make sure that I'm grounding myself with exercise and nurturing food and long showers. I can control how I view myself, what I consume, and what people I surround myself with, and how I take care of myself. So that's how I go through that process all day, every day, when I feel triggered by a memory of someone who gaslighted me, when I feel scared about my family, and when I feel scared about my family getting COVID, or if I feel scared about our economic security because the economy is tanking. If there is something that this process will help you deal with your overwhelming emotions, no matter what the emotion is. And you don't have to use a journal to go through this process, but if you're someone who struggles with anxiety, I highly recommend that you use a journal because it helps ground you in reality. It's very hard to spiral when you are physically having to write words on a page. So that is my whole process. If you would like to read the whole thing or have kind of a notes version, go check out the blog post on it. I will link it below. Please make sure you subscribe. And if you like this video, share it and leave me a comment to let me know how this resonated with you or what you learned from it, or if there's anything else you'd like to see. There will be 4 more videos about emotional resilience and how to cultivate it with different topics. I'm very excited to teach it all to you all. And thank you so much. Thanks so much for watching this video with me. I still have to put my makeup on, but multitasking is really hard. I thought getting ready with me would like be easy, but it is not. But I do need to get to work. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.